How's it going, everybody? This is Rusty here at FCP Euro, and today we're servicing the all-wheel drive clutch on our B9 Audi A4. On the table in front of me, we have the one bottle of fluid that we're going to need for our all-wheel drive clutch. At this time, we only have genuine available. Along with that, we have the drain and fill plugs, and with the simplicity of this DIY, we have everything on the table for the service work and the finishing work. We're going to be using the CTA 7073 to refill the differential. We've also got this adapter to pressurize the chamber, and then another adapter to adapt the CTA 7073 to the Haldex adapter. We're going to be using a 5mm Allen, a 1/4-inch wrench, and then we also have a scan tool for resetting the oil life. And not pictured here, we will need a 2-post lift. You'll want to have the vehicle flat. So if you're doing it on jack stands, you'll want 4 jack stands to make sure that the vehicle is totally level. You'll also want some sort of a drain pan and potentially some brake clean and some rags. With that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, once you have the car up in the air, we are going to want to make sure that it is completely level because we are going to be filling this until it comes out of the fill plug. So go ahead and take the 5mm Allen and we're going to crack the fill plug loose. One thing I did want to mention is that this particular vehicle, being that it is a 2-liter A4, does not exactly have a service interval. All of the S models and RS models are suggested to have this all-wheel drive clutch serviced every 3 years. Well, it's the same all-wheel drive clutch more or less, and it's going to be operating the same without having as much power running through it. So it should probably be serviced even still. So if you do have one of these Audis with the 2-liter A4 with the 7-speed DCT transmission, you may want to consider this service. Even though it is not recommended, it will still have some failure down the road as that clutch begins to wear. So we've got the fill plug out of the way. Now we can go ahead and take the drain out, again with the same 5mm Allen. One other thing to keep in mind is that if you have an RS or S model, the drain plug is not as easily accessible as on the 8HP model. This transmission brace is directly below that drain. So if you do have that, we have a separate kit that includes the hardware in order to remove and support the lower transmission brace. Once we've got that loose, we can go ahead and crack it free. Once your fluid's down to a drip like we have here, we're going to take a tiny bit of the new fluid. As we have ample fluid in this kit, the capacity of that clutch is only about 0.35 liters. So the 1-liter jar or 1-liter jug that does come with the kit has more than enough fluid. We can use a little bit to clean out what's existing still in that clutch by using a little bit of the new fluid and just flushing it through to remove any added debris. Mainly, just want to make sure we got nice, clean, clear fluid coming out of there to ensure that we've removed any of that clutch debris that may have worn while the vehicle was down the road. Now, the manufacturer does recommend to install the drain plug and just leave it slightly loose. We'll be pressurizing this chamber and trying to make sure that we fill all of the clutches full. So we're going to have a little bit of an air hole kind of bleeding out of the bottom here, just to make sure that we have this not all the way tight, but just a couple of turns in. They do recommend about 5 turns. And then we'll take our CTA 7409. The end of this does screw off, and then we'll be threading that into the fill section. Thread that in, and then the adapter will thread onto that. And we'll have another adapter here going on to the bottom of this elbow adapter. This will mate to the CTA 7073, which we'll go ahead and fill up now. As I mentioned, this chamber really only takes about 0.35 liters, but we are going to fill it up as much as we can. Get the adapter plugged in here. Make sure you've got this very well seated. Otherwise, it might pop off on you. Make sure you firmly inserted that into that rubber adapter. We'll go ahead and recharge this clutch. Keep filling until it begins to come out of that drain plug slightly. It's already starting to come out of the fill, as this is not a completely sealed unit, but we've certainly overfilled it slightly. It's going to allow all that fluid to soak into those clutches. Any air gaps or anything between those clutches will be filled by us overfilling this. Once you let this sit for a second, you may see a little bit of fluid starting to drip out of that bottom drain plug. That is perfectly okay. We'll let this sit for a second. We'll tighten up that lower drain plug and remove this adapter. I'm going to go ahead and snug this drain plug If you would like to torque these, the torque spec on both drain plugs is about 15 Newton meters, but simply using a 1/4 inch wrench, you can't do too much damage, but I'm sure somebody out there could over tighten one. And not entirely necessary, but we'll just snug these up. The new drain plugs do come with new crush washers to ensure that we don't have any leaks in the future. And that's about 15 Newton meters. All right, wipe that all down. And then when we take this adapter off, there's probably gonna be some fluid pouring out. As I mentioned, we overfilled the chamber. So we're gonna get a little bit coming out of this drain, making sure it doesn't leak out all over the exhaust and everything like that. And then once we've removed this entirely, the fill level is basically filling the fluid to the bottom of the fill hole. So let's get this adapter out of here. And there's a little extra fluid in there, not too much. The adapter is removed. Let that trickle out a little bit of fluid will still come out. And then we'll grab our fill plug and we're almost done here. The top one is going to be a little bit tight with quarters because it is right next to the prop shaft outlet. So I'm going to get this one started by putting the fill plug on the end of my bit. Go ahead and snug this up. Again, fill plug is 15 Newton meters. If you're torquing it down, you certainly can, but it is not absolutely necessary. It feels about 15 Newton meters. That should be good to go. Now we'll take the rag, wipe off any excess fluid. Got a little on the exhaust here. Go ahead and grab some brake clean as well. And we'll get that all cleaned up. Next, we'll catch you guys back inside the car with the scan tool hooked up, and we'll go ahead and reset the oil age. Now that we're back in the car, I've got the Autel MX808 hooked up to our vehicle. We've done a VIN scan. We've got the vehicle plugged in, gone into the control unit module, and we're going to go ahead and select the all-wheel drive electronics. It'll be on the second page. And again, if you're not using the Autel MX808, you can certainly get away with just about any scanner out there as long as it's more than just a code reader. We do need to be able to access other modules. So once we get into the all-wheel drive control module, we will have to add a security code, and I've already input that log in here. So when you get to this screen, you'll have to input a code of 20103. That'll give you access to the actual all-wheel drive clutch. Hit OK, go through all that. It'll give you login access. Then you can come back and go into basic settings, reset the oil aging adaptation, hit start. It'll establish and try again after security lock. Go in here, clear all these zeros. 20103, hit OK. Get good login. Then we'll go back into basic settings. Reset aging oil adaptations, hit start. Basic setting has ended. Everything should be good. Now the car knows that the oil has been reset in the all-wheel drive clutch. So if you don't perform this step, there's a potential that down the road you may have a fault in the all-wheel drive clutch, which may or may not trip a check engine light. Most likely won't, but if you have the vehicle scanned, that fault will be in there. Somebody may try to sell you an all-wheel drive clutch service if you're at a shop or a dealership. So it's definitely good practice to reset this. And it also keeps a service log of how long these all-wheel drive clutches go between services. So once you get that basic setting is ended, we can hit stop. We can escape. We will go back one, just double check trouble codes, make sure we have no errors. No trouble codes are detected. And that pretty much takes care of today's service. So again, you can certainly get by without the scan tool. However, performing this adaptation ensures that the clutch has been reset and it will give it its full power. I'm not sure if it limits it, if it has a oil aging fault in there or anything like that. So it's best to just go ahead and get the complete service done. But with that, we've successfully completed the all-wheel drive clutch service on our B9 Audi A4 equipped with the 2-liter engine. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If so, don't forget to hit that like button. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them down in the comment section below. And as always, we'll have plenty more videos on this vehicle and many others like it, so don't forget to subscribe. With that, we'll catch you on the next one.